The Earth Defense Command Center buzzed with desperate activity. Admiral Robert Hayes stared at the tactical display showing the massive Vorthak fleet approaching the outer planets. In 36 hours, they would reach Earth's defense stations. "Sir, Captain Morrison's team has arrived with the symbiont fragments," reported Commander Sarah Walsh. 18 crews have volunteered for the bonding process. Hayes nodded grimly. 18 ships wasn't enough to stop the thousands of Vorthak vessels heading their way, but it was better than facing them with normal technology that could be turned against them. Jake Morrison stood in the command center, watching as the volunteer crews prepared for transformation. These were humanity's bravest souls. Military officers, civilian captains, even some of his fellow salvage crews had stepped forward when they understood what was at stake. "The bonding chambers are ready," Lisa Carter reported. She had spent the last 3 days working with Earth's best scientists to prepare the facilities. Each symbiont fragment is calibrated for its specific crew. Captain Maria Santos was the first to volunteer. She commanded the destroyer Earth's Pride and had lost her brother when the Centauri colonies fell. "If this gives us a chance to fight back, I'm ready." Jake watched as Santos and her crew of 12 entered the bonding chamber. The symbiont fragment sat in the center of the room, glowing with soft blue light. When Santos touched it, the light exploded outward, wrapping her crew in energy that was both alien and somehow familiar. "Vital signs are stable," Ben Turner called out from his monitoring station. "The bonding is taking hold." For 10 minutes, the crew stood motionless as the symbiont merged with their consciousness. Then Santos opened her eyes, and Jake could see they now held flecks of blue light. "I can feel it," Santos whispered in wonder. "I can feel the ship. It's alive, and it's part of us now." Outside in the shipyard, the destroyer Earth's Pride was transforming. Metal flowed like water as the vessel reshaped itself. New weapon, systems grew from the hull while the armor became something that looked more grown than built. Within hours, it had become a living ship like the Iron Will. One by one, the other volunteer crews underwent the same process. Not all of them survived. 3 crews were lost when the bonding failed, their bodies unable to handle the fusion of human and alien consciousness. But 15 crews succeeded, creating a small fleet of transformed vessels. Amy Rodriguez stood, with Jake as they watched the new ships take their positions in Earth's defense grid. "Will it be enough?" "It has to be," Jake replied. He had volunteered his own crew for the process, and now the New Horizon was one of the living ships. He could feel every part of his vessel, sense the thoughts of his crew members, and access knowledge that came from the symbiont's ancient species. The Vorthak fleet arrived exactly on schedule. They came out of hyperspace like a swarm of locusts, thousands of ships made from the remains of conquered civilizations. At their head was a massive command vessel built from the hulks of a dozen different species' flagships. "All ships, this is Admiral Hayes," came the broadcast to the Earth fleet. "Remember, our converted vessels are immune to Vorthak control. Stay close to them and follow their lead." The battle began immediately. The Vorthak ships opened fire with weapons stolen from their victims, expecting to overwhelm Earth's defenses and then turn the captured ships against the planet itself. But when their control signals reached the 15 converted vessels, nothing happened. Jake felt the Iron Will arrive at the edge of the battle. Unity's massive form had grown even larger during its journey to Earth, and now it led the small fleet of living ships against impossible odds. "All hybrid vessels, this is Unity," came the familiar voice across their shared consciousness. Show them what humanity becomes when it chooses evolution over extinction. The living ships moved like no vessels had ever moved before. They flowed through space, adapting their shape for speed or defense as needed. Their weapons changed properties with each shot, learning from the enemy's defenses and overcoming them. Lisa Carter, now bonded with the New Horizons systems, watched as her ship's weapons evolved in real time. Captain, the plasma cannons just modified themselves to disrupt Vorthak control signals. Every shot we fire is freeing their enslaved ships. Across the battlefield, captured human vessels suddenly broke away from the Vorthak formation as the living ship's weapons restored their original programming. The enemy fleet began to collapse as their own ships turned against them. But there were still thousands of Vorthak vessels, and only 16 living ships to fight them. The enemy command ship began transmitting new control codes, trying to overwhelm the hybrid vessels with raw signal strength. "It's not working," Ryan Brooks reported. "They can't control us because we're not machines anymore. We're alive." Unity spoke to all the hybrid ships at once, through their shared connection. "The command vessel is the key. If we can destroy it, their entire fleet will lose coordination. But it will take all of us working together." Jake understood immediately. The living ships formed up around Unity, moving as one organism toward the massive command vessel. The Vorthak threw everything they had at the attacking formation, but the hybrid ships flowed around the weapons fire like water around rocks. When they reached the command ship, Unity made its final sacrifice. The great vessel opened itself like a flower, releasing every bit of energy it had stored over 15 years of preparation. The resulting explosion didn't just destroy the Vorthak command ship. It sent out a wave of liberating energy that freed every enslaved vessel in the enemy fleet. In moments, the Vorthak invasion became a celebration of liberation. Thousands of ships from dozens of species remembered who they really were and turned their weapons on their former masters. The few remaining Vorthak vessels fled into deep space, their invasion shattered. Jake stood on the bridge of the transformed New Horizon, feeling Unity's presence still with them through the symbiont network. The great ship was gone, but its consciousness lived on in every vessel it had helped create. "Unity?" Jake called out. "We are still here, Captain Morrison," came the reply, now speaking through the voices of all the hybrid crews. "Ellen Price and her crew, the symbiont, and now you and your people. We are all part of something greater." Sandra Kim looked out at the liberated ships filling space around Earth. "What happens now?" "Now we explore," Jake said, feeling the vast knowledge of the symbiont flowing through his consciousness. "We find other species threatened by the Vorthak. We offer them the same choice Captain Price made. We become the guardians of the galaxy." The hybrid ships began forming up for their first mission beyond Earth. They were no longer just human, or just alien. They were something new, something that could grow and adapt and protect all life from those who would consume it. Humanity had evolved, and the galaxy would never be the same. Jake Morrison watched from the bridge of the New Horizon as the iron will transformed before his eyes. The living ship stretched and reshaped itself, growing new weapon pods and armor plates that seemed to flow like liquid metal. What had been a derelict vessel now looked like a predator awakening from sleep. "Captain, the Vorthak ships are closing fast," Sandra Kim reported from the pilot's seat. 3 vessels, all showing mixed technology signatures. They look like they're built from the remains of human and alien ships. Through the viewports, Jake could see the enemy approaching. The Vorthak scouts were ugly things, cobbled together from pieces of destroyed vessels. Weapons that didn't belong together jutted from hulls that had been welded and grafted into nightmare shapes. New Horizon. Move to a safe distance. Unity's voice came through their communications. What you are about to witness will change your understanding of what is possible. Lisa Carter monitored her instruments as they pulled back. Captain, the Iron Will's power signature just increased by 300%. Whatever it's doing, it's using massive amounts of energy. The first Vorthak scout opened fire with weapons that Jake recognized as human plasma cannons. The bright green beams struck the Iron Will's hull, but instead of causing damage, the ship's surface absorbed the energy. The blue veins running along. The hull grew brighter, and Jake realized the living ship was feeding on the attack. Impossible, Ryan Brooks whispered. It's converting their weapons fire into power. The Iron Will responded with weapons unlike anything Jake had ever seen. Beams of pure blue energy lanced out from ports that hadn't existed moments before. When they struck the first Vorthak scout, the enemy ship didn't just explode, it dissolved, breaking apart at the molecular level until nothing remained but glowing dust. Holy cow, Amy Rodriguez breathed. What kind of weapon was that? Symbiont technology, Unity explained over the radio. The energy beam disrupts the Vorthak control systems and frees the enslaved technology. The ship's original components, remember what they were meant to be. The second scout tried to retreat, but the Iron Will was faster. The living ship moved through space like a sea creature swimming through water, flowing and turning in ways that should have been impossible for something so large. It caught the fleeing vessel and wrapped it in tendrils of blue energy. Ben Turner watched in amazement as the captured scout began to change. The ugly grafted sections fell away, and the original ship design emerged like a butterfly from a cocoon. It's freeing the ship, the Centauri light cruiser Swift Justice or Unity confirmed. It was captured 6 months ago. Now it remembers its true purpose. The freed ship immediately turned on its former companion and opened fire. The last Vorthak scout found itself caught between two enemies and didn't last long. Within minutes, all 3 enemy vessels were either destroyed or liberated. Katie Hughes stared at the tactical display. Unity just defeated 3 ships without breaking a sweat, and it freed one of them to fight for us again. This is what we offer humanity, Unity said. Not just weapons, but the power to reclaim what has been taken from us. Every battle makes us stronger while making the Vorthak weaker. Jake made a decision that would change everything. Unity, we want to help. Tell us what we need to do. Return to Earth, Unity replied. Speak to your military leaders. Tell them what you have seen. But more importantly, find volunteers. We need crews willing to undergo the transformation. Over. The next 3 days, the Iron Will worked with the New Horizon to develop a plan. Unity shared its knowledge freely, showing Jake's crew how to create communication devices that could reach Earth instantly and how to identify suitable ships for conversion. The process isn't easy, Unity explained as they worked together in the ship's transformed laboratories. The symbiont fragments need strong minds to bond with, crews that trust each other completely and are willing to become something greater than human. Lisa studied the biological samples that Unity provided. What happens if the bonding fails? The volunteer dies, Unity said simply. But if it succeeds, they become part of something magnificent. The choice must be made freely, with full understanding of the risks, Tony Garcia examined the technical specifications for converting normal ships. We'll need specialized equipment, facilities that can handle both organic and mechanical engineering. This is going to take time. Time we don't have, Unity reminded them. The Vorthak main fleet is only 10 days from Earth. We need at least 20 converted ships to have a chance of stopping them. Jake thought about the impossible task ahead of them. 20 ships, 20 crews, all willing to give up their humanity to save humanity. Who's going to volunteer for that? You'd be surprised, Amy said quietly. When people understand what's at stake, when they see what we've seen, some of them will step forward. There are always heroes when the world needs them. Ryan had been working on the communication equipment. Captain, I've got a direct link to Earth Defense Command. We can transmit everything we've recorded. Do it, Jake ordered. Send them everything. The battle footage, Unity's technical data, all of it. The transmission took 6 hours to compile and send. When it was finished, Unity began preparing symbiont fragments for transport to Earth. Each fragment was contained in a crystal device, similar to the one that had originally bonded with the Iron Will. These will remain dormant until they find suitable hosts, Unity explained. Each fragment carries the complete knowledge of symbiont technology, but it needs human consciousness to activate it. Ben helped package the precious cargo. How many can you create? 50 fragments, Unity replied. Enough for a significant fleet if we can find enough volunteers. Sandra plotted their course back to Earth. We can reach the Sol system in 4 days if we push the engines hard. That gives us 6 days to find crews and convert ships. It won't be enough time, Katie said worriedly. Converting a ship and training a crew takes weeks. Not with symbiont technology, Unity corrected. Once the bonding is complete, the knowledge transfer is instantaneous. A converted crew knows everything they need to know about their new ship within hours. As the New Horizon prepared to depart, Jake took one last look at the Iron Will. The living ship had become something beautiful and terrible, a fusion of human determination and alien wisdom. Unity, will we see you again? You will see me at Earth, Unity promised. I will be there for the final battle. And Captain Morrison, when this is over, when humanity has proven itself capable of evolution, we will explore the galaxy together, not as conquerors, but as liberators. The New Horizon jumped to hyperspace, carrying hope in the form of crystal fragments and the testimony of 6 humans who had seen the future of their species. Behind them, the Iron Will began its own journey to Earth, preparing for a battle that would determine whether humanity survived or joined the countless species that had fallen to the Vorthak hunger. Time was running out. But for the first time, in months, Jake Morrison felt hope. Humanity had been given a chance to evolve, to become something more than they had ever dreamed possible. All they had to do was find the courage to take it. The walls around them suddenly came alive with activity. Images flashed across the organic surfaces, showing star maps and ship movements that made Jake's blood run cold. Hundreds of dark vessels moved through space like a plague of insects, consuming everything in their path. Unity, what are we looking at? Jake asked, though he was afraid he already knew the answer. The Vorthak fleet, Unity replied, the voice now carrying the combined tone of Ellen Price and 42 other human souls. They have been moving toward human space for the past 6 months. 17 colonies have already gone dark. Lisa Carter studied the tactical display that formed on the nearest wall. Captain, those ships look like they're made from pieces of other vessels. Look at the hull patterns. She was right. Each Vorthak ship was a twisted combination of different technologies. Jake could see parts that looked human, others that appeared alien, all welded together in configurations that shouldn't have been, able to fly. The Vorthak do not build, Unity explained. They consume. Every species they defeat becomes part of their fleet. Human destroyers fight alongside alien cruisers, all controlled by the Vorthak infection. Amy Rodriguez pointed at one particular ship on the display. That looks like a human military vessel. The UES Washington, if I'm reading the markings right. It was, Unity confirmed sadly. Admiral Kate Foster's flagship. It fell 3 weeks ago defending the Centauri colonies. Now it serves the enemy. Ben Turner shook his head in disbelief. How do you fight an enemy that turns your own ships against you? Every battle makes them stronger. That is why the symbiont chose to save us, Unity said. We are immune to their control. The organic technology cannot be corrupted because it is alive, not programmed. The Vorthak can only control dead machines. Katie Hughes studied the fleet. Movements on the display. They're heading for Earth. At their current speed, they'll reach the outer defense stations in 2 weeks. Earth's military doesn't know what they're facing, Unity continued. They think they can fight a conventional war. They will lose their entire fleet within hours, and those ships will turn against the home world. Jake felt the weight of what he was seeing. Humanity was about to face an enemy that could not be defeated by normal means. What can we do? We're just a salvage crew. You can help me warn them, Unity said, but more than that, you can help me save them. The chamber around them shifted, walls flowing like water to create new displays and interfaces. Jake watched, in amazement as the ship literally rebuilt itself to show them what Unity had in mind. For 15 years I have been preparing, Unity explained, learning, growing, adapting. The symbiont's knowledge combined with human determination has created possibilities that neither species could achieve alone. Lisa's scanner detected massive changes in the ship's structure. Captain, the Iron Will is manufacturing something. The entire lower deck is being converted into some kind of production facility. I am creating the seeds of humanity's salvation, Unity said. Symbiont fragments that can bond with human vessels, making them immune to Vorthak control. But the process requires willing volunteers. Ryan Brooks looked nervous. What kind of volunteers? Human crews who are prepared to undergo the same transformation that Captain Price and her people chose. The symbiont fragments need human consciousness to guide them, just as I needed the Iron Will's crew. Amy stepped forward. You're talking about asking people to give up their humanity. No, Unity replied firmly. I am talking about asking them to expand it. Captain Price and her crew are not less human than they were before. They are more than human. They retain everything they were while gaining everything they could become. The display showed new images now. Ships that looked like the transformed Iron Will, but smaller, faster. Each one pulsed with the same blue light, each one alive and aware. A fleet of living ships, Unity continued. Vessels that can adapt faster than the Vorthak can react. Ships that share information instantly across vast distances. Most importantly, ships that cannot be turned against their creators. Tony Garcia examined the technical readouts that appeared on the walls. The power output on these designs is incredible. How is that possible? The symbiont technology doesn't just copy existing systems, Unity explained. It improves them. Organic neural networks are faster than any computer. Living hulls are stronger than any metal. Adaptive weapons can change their properties based on the target. Jake studied the battle scenarios that Unity was showing them. Human ships that could reshape themselves in combat, weapons that evolved to counter enemy defenses, shields that learned from each attack. It was like nothing he had ever imagined. "But why show us this?" Jake asked. "We're not military. We can't authorize this kind of program." "Because you found me," Unity said simply. "Because you were willing to board an unknown vessel and listen to what I had to say. Because your crew represents exactly the kind of humans who might be willing to take this step." Sandra Kim, who had been piloting their ship during the boarding, spoke up over the radio. "Captain, I'm detecting movement on the long-range sensors. 3 ships approaching our position." Unity's response was immediate. "Vorthak scouts, they have found us." The iron will around them suddenly felt different. The walls hardened. The blue light shifted to a deeper color, and Jake could feel the ship preparing for battle. Weapon systems that had been hidden now emerged from the hull, and the entire vessel seemed to coil like a snake ready to strike. "Return to your ship," Unity commanded. "What you are about to see will help you understand what we can accomplish when humanity evolves beyond its current limitations." Jake hesitated. "What about you? Can you handle 3 ships alone?" "Captain Morrison," Unity replied, and now the voice carried the confidence of 43 human souls speaking as one. "I am not alone. I am the combined will of the best crew humanity ever produced, armed with technology beyond anything the Vorthak have encountered. These scouts will learn that their prey has become their predator." The crew ran back through the organic corridors toward their ship. Behind them, they could feel the iron will changing, reshaping itself for combat. The gentle blue glow was now a fierce light that pulsed with deadly purpose. As they reached their airlock, Jake turned back for one last look at the transformed vessel. The iron will no longer looked like the ship they had first discovered. It had become something magnificent and terrible, a fusion of human determination and alien power. "Unity," Jake called out. "After the battle, we need to talk. Humanity needs to know what you're offering." "I will be waiting, Captain Morrison, and after you see what we can do, you will understand why the choice Captain Price made 15 years ago was not a sacrifice, but the first step toward humanity's greatest victory." The airlock hissed open, and Jake Morrison stepped onto the iron will for the first time. The corridor beyond was nothing like what he expected. The walls seemed to breathe, pulsing with that same blue light they had seen from outside. Thin lines ran along the surfaces like veins glowing softly as the boarding party moved forward. "This doesn't look like any ship I've ever seen," whispered Amy Rodriguez, her hand resting on her weapon. The security chief's eyes darted around, watching for threats that might not even be human anymore. Lisa Carter ran her scanner over the nearest wall. "Captain, these readings are impossible. The walls are showing both metal and organic signatures. It's like someone grew a ship instead of building it." Ben Turner knelt down and touched the floor carefully. "It's warm. Not just room temperature warm, but body temperature warm, and I swear I can feel a pulse through the deck plates." The corridor stretched ahead of them, curving gently to the right. Emergency lighting cast strange shadows, but the blue veins provided most of the illumination. Every few seconds, waves of light would travel along the walls, moving toward the center of the ship like a heartbeat. "Unity," Jake called out. "Can you hear us?" The voice came from speakers in the walls, but it seemed to come from everywhere at once. "I can hear you, Captain Morrison. I can feel your footsteps, sense your heartbeats, even detect the fear and curiosity in your voices. You are walking through me now." Ryan Brooks shivered. "That's not creepy at all." They moved deeper into the ship, following the main corridor toward what should have been the bridge. But everything was wrong. Doors opened before they reached them, sliding apart with a wet sound that made everyone uncomfortable. The walls curved in ways that defied the ship's external structure, creating spaces that seemed larger inside than they should be. Katie Hughes stopped at what looked like a control panel, but instead of buttons and screens, the surface was covered with smooth organic shapes that pulsed with different colors. "How does anyone operate this?" "You don't operate it," Unity's voice explained. "You communicate with it. This ship no longer requires manual control. Every system is part of a single living network." Lisa scanned the panel and gasped. "Captain, this thing is responding to Katie's presence. The colors are changing based on her heart rate and brain activity. It's reading her somehow." They reached a large chamber that might have once been the main bridge, but now it looked more like the inside of some vast organism. Curved walls rose to a domed ceiling covered in pulsing patterns. In the center of the room, a raised platform held what looked like a captain's chair, but it was grown rather than built, shaped from the same organic material as everything else. "This is where it happened," Unity said. "This is where Captain Ellen Price and her crew made their final choice." Jake approached the central chair carefully. "What choice? What happened to them?" The room around them began to change. The walls became transparent, showing images like a three-dimensional movie. They saw the iron will as it once was, with clean metal corridors and normal human technology. Then the scene shifted to show the ship under attack by vessels unlike anything Jake had ever seen. "The Vorthak," Unity explained, "a species that turns technology against its creators. They arrived without warning and began converting our systems to serve them. Our weapons turned on us, our computers locked us out, even our life support tried to kill us." The images showed the crew fighting desperately against their own ship. Captain Price was a tall woman with gray hair and determined eyes. She moved through the corridors with her team, trying to reach critical systems that were no longer under their control. "We were losing," Unity continued. "The Vorthak infection was spreading through every circuit, every processor. In hours, we would have become another weapon in their fleet." Ben Turner watched the images with growing horror. "How do you fight? An enemy that can control your own technology?" "You don't fight it," Unity said. "You change what you are." The scene shifted again. Now they saw the crew in this very chamber, gathered around a strange alien device. It was beautiful and terrible, at the same time like a crystal flower made of living light. "The symbiont," Unity explained. "The last survivor of a species the Vorthak had already destroyed. It was dying from their weapons, but it offered us a choice. Join with it, become something new, or die as humans and let the Vorthak win." Amy watched as Captain Price touched the device. "What happened when she made contact?" "Everything changed. The symbiont bonded with our ship's systems, but it needed human consciousness to guide it. Captain Price and her crew volunteered to merge their minds with the ship itself. They became part of me, and I became part of them." The images showed the transformation. Light spread through the ship like wildfire, but instead of destroying, it was rebuilding. Metal became living tissue. Circuits became neural pathways. The entire vessel transformed into something that was both ship and creature, both machine and life. "The Vorthak infection couldn't survive the change," Unity continued. "When the ship became alive, it could resist their control. More than resist, it could fight back." Katie stared at the organic walls around them. "But what happened to the crew? Are they dead?" "They are not dead, Katie Hughes. They are part of me now. Their memories, their personalities. their love for humanity all live within this ship. When you speak to unity, you speak to all of them at once. Jake felt a chill run through him. Can we speak to them individually? The voice that answered was different, warmer and more recognizably human. Hello, Jake Morrison. I am Ellen Price, captain of the Iron Will, or I was before I became something more. Lisa's scanner went crazy, detecting massive changes in the ship's energy patterns. Captain, the entire vessel is restructuring itself as we speak. The hull is growing thicker, and I'm reading weapon systems that weren't there 5 minutes ago. The ship adapts, Ellen Price's voice explained. It learns and grows stronger with every passing moment. The symbiont gave us that gift. We can change our structure, our weapons, our defenses based on whatever threats we face. Tony Garcia, who had been quiet until now, looked around nervously. This is beyond anything human science can do. You're talking about rewriting the laws of physics. Not rewriting them, Unity replied, now speaking in multiple voices at once. Understanding them differently. The symbionts people had millions of years to learn what life could become when it wasn't limited by the boundaries between organic and artificial. Ryan checked his communication equipment. Captain, I'm picking up signals from deep space. Something big is moving in our direction. The ship around them suddenly felt more alert, more focused. The blue veins pulsed faster, and Jake could swear he felt the Iron Will turning its attention outward, scanning the darkness for threats. The Vorthak, Unity said, and now the voice carried a note of steel. They have found us again, but this time they will discover that their prey has become the hunter. This time, humanity fights back with weapons they cannot steal or corrupt. Jake looked at his crew, seeing his own thoughts reflected in their faces. They had come here looking for salvage, but they had found something far more important. They had found the future of human survival. Captain Jake Morrison stared at the scanner display with tired eyes. 3 weeks of searching through empty space had found nothing but rocks and ice. His salvage ship, New Horizon, was running low on fuel, and the crew was getting restless. They needed to find something valuable soon, or this trip would be a total loss. Captain, I'm picking up something big on the long-range sensors, called out Communications Officer Ryan Brooks from his station. It's about 2 hours away at current speed. Jake walked over to look at the readings. The object was massive, definitely ship-sized, and it was drifting without power in the dark space between star systems. Any identification signals? Nothing. Sir, it's completely dark, but the shape looks human-made. Chief Engineer Lisa Carter looked up from her repair work. Could be a cargo hauler that lost its engines. Those are always worth salvaging for parts. Jake nodded. Set course for the contact. Let's see what we found. The New Horizon changed direction and began moving toward the mysterious object. Jake's crew had been working together for 5 years, salvaging wrecked ships and abandoned stations in the outer colonies. They were good at their job, but they had never found anything really valuable. Most of their discoveries were just scrap, metal, and broken equipment. As they got closer, the object became clearer on their screens. It was definitely a starship, but not like any cargo vessel they had seen before. The hull was sleek and military-looking, with weapons ports along its sides. Strange patterns covered the metal surface, almost like veins or circuits. That's not a cargo ship, said Security Chief Amy Rodriguez, studying the image. That's a warship. A big one. Lisa ran the ship's outline through their database. After a few minutes, she found a match. Captain, you need to see this. According to our records, that's the UES Iron Will. It was reported missing 15 years ago during A deep space exploration mission. Jake felt his heart race. A military exploration vessel would be worth a fortune in salvage. Are you sure? Positive. The hull configuration matches perfectly. But, sir, there's something strange about the readings. What do you mean, strange? Lisa frowned at her instruments. The hull is showing signs of recent repair work. The metal looks new in some places, like someone fixed damage from the outside. But according to our scans, there's no one aboard. Navigation specialist Katie Hughes spoke up from her station. Captain, I'm not reading any life signs, but the ship has power. Minimal, but it's there. How is that possible after 15 years? Jake thought about it. Ships didn't repair themselves, and power systems didn't run for 15 years without maintenance. Something was very wrong with this picture. But a salvage crew didn't get rich by walking away from mysteries. Medical Officer Ben Turner, get your gear ready. Amy, check our weapons. Lisa, I want a full scan of that ship before we board. Everyone else prepare for salvage operations. The crew moved to their tasks with practiced efficiency. Jake had chosen each member carefully over the years. They trusted each other completely, and that trust had kept them alive in dangerous situations before. As the new horizon approached the Iron Will, more details became visible. The ship was enormous, nearly 3 times the size of their salvage vessel. Weapon systems that Jake didn't recognize were mounted along its hull. Most strange of all, parts of the ship seemed to pulse with a faint blue light. Lisa, what's causing that glow? I don't know, Captain. It's not showing up as radiation or heat. Whatever it is, it's something our sensors can't identify. Ryan suddenly straightened at his station. Captain, I'm receiving a signal from the Iron Will. What kind of signal? It's a communication request. Someone wants to talk. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Their scans showed no life signs aboard the derelict ship. So who was trying to contact them? Put it through. The main screen flickered, and then a voice came through the speakers. It sounded human, but there was something different about it. The voice was too smooth, too perfect. Greetings, New Horizon. I am the consciousness of the Iron Will. You may call me Unity. I've been waiting for someone to find us. The bridge fell silent. Jake looked around at his crew, seeing his own confusion reflected in their faces. Ships didn't have consciousness. Even the most advanced AI systems were just programs. This is Captain Jake Morrison. Are you the ship's computer? I am more than that, Captain Morrison. I am what the Iron Will became when it was necessary to survive. I am the fusion of human determination and something greater. Amy moved closer to Jake and whispered, This could be a trap. Some kind of automated defense system. Jake nodded but kept talking to the voice. Unity, what happened to your crew? There was a pause before the voice answered. They are gone, Captain. They gave everything to ensure that I could continue their mission. They are part of me now, in a way. Their memories, their hopes, their love for humanity live on through me. Ben Turner checked his medical scanner. Captain, I'm still not reading any human life signs, but there's definitely some kind of biological activity over there. It's like the ship itself is alive. Unity! We're a salvage crew. We found your ship drifting in space. Can you explain what happened to you? I can explain everything, Captain Morrison. But first, you must understand that what you see is not abandonment. It is transformation. The Iron Will did not fail in its mission. It evolved to complete it. Lisa's instruments started beeping rapidly. Captain, the ship's hull is changing. Those repair patterns are spreading. It's like it's fixing itself while we watch. Jake made a decision. His crew needed money, but more than that, he was curious. In 15 years of salvage work, he had never encountered anything like this. "Unity, we'd like to come aboard and talk face to face." "I would welcome that, Captain. Dock at Bay 3. I will ensure your safety. But I must warn you, what you find inside may challenge everything you thought you knew about the boundaries between machine and life, between individual and collective consciousness." Jake looked at his crew. They were scared, but they were also excited. This was the discovery that could change everything for them. "Lisa, take us in for docking. Everyone else, prepare for boarding. We're going to find out what happened to the Iron Will and its crew." As the New Horizon moved toward the docking bay, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't just boarding an abandoned ship. They were about to meet something entirely new, something that might change not just their lives, but the future of humanity itself. The Iron Will waited for them in the darkness, pulsing with that strange blue light, ready to share its secrets with the first humans it had seen in 15 years.